I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Did you get logged in, Derek?
For some reason, it's getting my usernames off.
Do you have a paper copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Should I be asking if there's discussion or?
Will you call for the question?
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, there's a motion on the floor with a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Move to reports.
All right. Well, for me, I can't believe, I was counting earlier, this is my 7th board meeting. I'm like, what? How can that be? It's March already. Spring break is right around the corner. I'm sure there's a few people out there who are saying, yay, right? Some of those students out there. But it's been nice because I've been able to be getting back into buildings and seeing the amazing staff and students and everything that is happening throughout our district. Students are engaged, teachers are engaged. And I love it that the principals don't have any problem opening a door and walking, we just walk in and we see the learning taking place. So it's been really good. And I know the calendar is an action item, but I just wanted to publicly give a thank you to everyone, and there's a few in this room, who served on the calendar committee. I think it was a really great discussion, questions and everything. So that's my report.
Well, thank you for the continued Friday updates. I appreciate those. Next up, Nicole.
Well, thank you for having me here this evening. I'm excited to talk about the great things that are happening in the Heights this year. It's been a wonderful start and mid-school year. I think we're getting some good stuff done. So excited to bring you through that tonight. So a little bit about us. Right now, we have 26 certified teachers. We have a total of 59 staff members. And we're all pretty new together this year. So 29 of our 59 staff members are new to the position, and 22 of us are new to Heights. So we've spent a lot of time getting to know each other this year and being pretty intentional about that. Right now, today we had 537 students. Tomorrow we'll have 538 students. We had one enrolled this afternoon. 14 of our students are classified as migrant, 26 English learners. We have 40.33% qualified for free and reduced lunch, and 21 of our students are currently homeless status. So when we first started the school year, one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that you could see our school colors and come up with a logo and just really be Heights proud all year. When I got there this last summer, it was hard to get a good read on what our colors actually were. No one would give me a consistent answer. So I took it back to our leadership team and we decided on this royal blue and yellow goldish color was pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past. And we had our computer teacher, who's also a graphic designer, put together some different logo options, and through some input, our leadership team came up with this, and we really felt represented our school well. So you'll see this throughout all of our documents and different things. We're really trying to put our Heights branding on it, so you know it comes from us. So because we are all very new and we had a little bit to work on as far as the climate and culture of Heights when I took over this summer, it's been a big emphasis for me as the administration or the administrator to really make sure that we are promoting a positive climate for our staff and our students and family. And not only are we growing it to a positive place, but can we sustain it? How do we sustain that positive school culture? So one of the things that I did in January was I sent out a climate survey to just our staff so far. It was 20 questions. I had 42 respondents, which is not bad, out of 59 staff members. If you've ever sent a survey out, it's hard to get that response rate. And it assessed these different 6 areas. It was based on PBIS. So we're a PBIS school. It's one of the things I'll talk about in a minute. That's been our emphasis. It looked at staff connectedness, structure for learning, school safety, physical environment, peer adult relations, and parent involvement. So ask some questions there. Once we completed the survey, I took it back to our leadership team to really dive into that data so we can come up with what are some celebrations that our data is showing us right now as far as our climate at Heights. And then what are some different areas we want to focus on moving forward into the end of this year and into next. So one celebration is 100% of our 40, well this one says 41 responses, say that they get along with other staff members at our school. So they either strongly agreed or agreed, so that was exciting to see. Teachers at my school work hard to make sure all students do well. So 100% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed with that statement. And then lastly, teachers make an effort to keep the school building and facilities clean. So it was recognized that we're working hard on that at Heights currently. Then we looked at the data and some of the questions where we just had some places to wonder because the data showed some results that we were curious about. And so we chose 6 focus areas for growth to really think about moving into next or at the end of this year and into next. So we're going to continue to look at the connectedness within our staff. We felt because we're so new, almost 50% new, that we have to be really intentional about that. We're starting up our monthly call-ups again as of next Friday and that sort of thing to really make sure we're connecting together during those school hours. We're going to be looking at treating students fairly, physical safety, bullying prevention there were some results that we weren't liking as far as how students are respecting students. We're going to look at that, how students treat each other with respect, and then of course increasing our parent involvement will be a huge focus for us moving into next year. So Heights was currently following the positive behavior supports and intervention framework. They had gone through the training, I think about 5 years ago, they started the process, had a pretty healthy tier 1 system, had moved into tier 2 last year, but the tier 1 started to fall apart. I would say maybe it had like a crumbled foundation a bit and we needed to go back and revamp it and make sure what we were doing was current for our students because what they were trying to do was that 5 years old, that original plan. And so we put back together our tier 1 team. They've attended professional development, which the district has provided for us throughout the year. So they've done 3 different sessions. We've been able to put back together our expectations matrix. We're working on our consequences matrix. We've now started doing our SOAR tickets again. We draw for those bi-weekly and give out bi-weekly and monthly prizes to the kids to get those SOAR tickets. We currently have 20 students receiving additional intervention within our tier 2 system. So as we revamped our tier 1 system, we've been able to keep the strong tier 2 system that was established last year going. So we haven't lost that progress. And then we just continue to evaluate the effectiveness of that program or framework for Heights and just continue to make adjustments as needed. We've also started part of the of building our team with staff is we're working really hard to complement each other. So we give each other staff SOAR tickets. So they have a goal every month of handing out 150 tickets total to complement each other. If they do that, they get special prizes, which could be like a special pen, which was last month. Maybe a yummy snack during staff meeting, different team building games. So really trying to make sure not only are we recognizing the great things our students are doing, but we're recognizing the great things our staff are doing as well. So that whole idea of PBIS is it allows us to create that positive environment so kids can learn. So we would hope that within that framework we're setting up, if it's healthy, we start to see the impact within our academic scores as well. It should balance that out. So looking at our ELA proficiency scores right now, this is based on our iStation data that was done in February. They're just finishing up March right now this week. And then the iReady data for 4th and 5th grade. Right now, kindergarten, we have 43% of our students are proficient, 45% of first graders, 77% of 2nd graders, 79% of 3rd graders, and then 60% of 4th graders and 49% of 5th graders. So we'll look, this is from iStation, so this is our kindergarten through 3rd grade last month. So we've seen, if you look at where we started, which I don't have that graph up here, but we have seen a decrease in our red throughout the months. Right now, a big focus for us is kindergarten. We're not seeing the growth that we would like to see as quickly in kindergarten. So we just started back up our Jump Start program where they go for the extra half day. We have 10 kids in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. And so rather than focus on the red, because we have seen that red decrease, it's that yellow and light green section that we're not seeing go down darker green. And so we invited what we call our bubble students to Jumpstart this time. So instead of inviting our lowest students, we're really trying to focus on that middle chunk to see if we can get them growing to that green area. So that's just one of the things we're doing for kindergarten. But all of the red has decreased throughout the year. So that's good. For math, so these math scores are based on their December diagnostic assessment because they just started their 3rd window today. So I didn't have current data to show today. So they're probably a little bit off from what we would expect to see 3 months later. But in December, 51% of our students were proficient or at grade level on the iReady assessment, 24 for first grade, 42 second, third 37, fourth 52%, and then fifth 55%. So I'm very excited to see the growth hopefully they'll make on that next diagnostic they started today. But you will see here in the fall, it's hard to see the difference between green and yellow here, but our red has decreased quite a bit. This is overall school-wide, K-5 on our math data. 21% of our students started out at that at-risk or at least 2 grade levels below. And in December, we had decreased that to 7% of our students were at that 2 grade levels or below. So we're seeing that red decrease. We just need to keep working on that yellow chunk. So we do have an improvement plan because we're a Title I site. We were also identified as a targeted improvement school through the State Department because of our students who are in special education. Their scores on the ISAT have not grown enough. So we're not seeing the growth for our students in special education as we are for our other students in general education. So one of our goals on our statewide improvement plan is to increase the scores of our students who receive special education services on the ISAT. So we're specifically looking at them. So one of the things we're doing to make sure we're paying attention to their progress is as the grade levels, each picked out their bubble students this year. I asked each grade level, make sure that 2 of the students out of the 8 they pick are students that receive special education services. So we're not just talking about them within the special education classroom, but we're like all of our conversations around instruction and gen ed are also going back to what they're receiving in the class. And then we've increased our special education staff's involvement in conversations. So if we're having data days meetings, our SPED staff comes. Our SPED staff comes to those RTI meetings so that they are part of that whole conversation. And then our other goal is to increase our overall scores by 5%. We'll just continue to do our data reviews, RTI meetings, all those students as we've done in the past. So we've used our instructional specialists from the district quite a bit at Heights. In fact, we've seen a 17% increase on requests for their assistance this year. We've had a total of 56 requests for their help. And then I went ahead and outlined what those were. So 14 of those requests were about assessment, 10 for curriculum, 23 for instruction, and 9 for staff development. So they're a great resource to us, especially as we have so many people new to the district. within our team, within those 22 new staff members to Middleton. I think we have one new team member per grade level this year, if not two, while we were putting back together our teams this summer. So that extra support is helpful. So we do some different things to communicate at Heights. We send out a weekly newsletter, our Heights highlights, to families. We use the platform, the SMORE platform, so our families who speak Spanish are able to easily translate it into Spanish, so there's no need for me to worry about translating it on my side. They just go through and hit that translate button and they can access that information. We send out updates on Skyward as needed. Our weekly newsletter goes out to staff members, so I also send one out on Monday morning to our staff members. We try to do our positive affirmations, our SOAR tickets, so we're always talking together as a staff and giving each other compliments. And then we also send out a postcard. Well, we send out postcards to our students, and our goal is for each student at Heights to receive one postcard. So we do that by, at the start of the year, we printed out address labels, and teachers are asked to pick up a few postcards every month, and then they put address labels on their cards so we know, and that's our way of keeping track of who's got a postcard and who hasn't. And then our secretary will make new labels every 2 months for those new students that come in. So just a few highlights of great things happening at Heights. So our third grade teacher, Susan McCormick, just used our ninjas for our district to go through an activity with her kids. It was to address one of the speaking and listening standards that they have to in third grade. So they practiced reading the story, practiced retelling the story, and then the ninjas came in and helped them record the story on their Chromebooks. They were able to listen back. They helped them edit it into a fun, engaging video. So that was a big highlight last week at Heights. They were having a lot of fun with that. Our first graders are 100 days smarter, so they all came to school dressed like people who are 100, or their interpretation of that. Some of it wasn't. And then that's Miss Courtney and Jamie Carroll, our amazing office staff. They run the show. They are like the backbone to our success right now, and have really created a positive energy and positive spirit when you walk into the office at Heights. That was one of our goals starting the year, is when everybody that walks through those doors gets a smile, and Miss Courtney does a very nice job of ensuring that. She also runs the whole Raptor system, which has taken some getting used to in our old building that wasn't built for something like that. So we've been able to adjust what we need to help her be successful with that. She does a great job. So let me give them a shout out. Ms. Waters, our PE teacher, will be retiring at the end of the year. She's been with the Middleton School District for 35 years, which I think is a huge thing to celebrate, because you just don't see that longevity anymore like you used to. But she does a great running program for the kids, and they're there bowling to celebrate their successes. We had a visit from a local author at Heights, right? Brian Sager is an author, and he came in and signed books, and it was a fun time. Our art teacher recently put together this version of wings. Each student made a feather, and each student actually got to have their picture taken in front of the wings, and we'll be printing those off for them, because they're very excited about that. We just received a grant from CapEd to help diversify our library, so they purchased us books that we thought we needed to help diversify just with culture, representing students with disabilities, that sort of thing. So we just got $739 from CapEd for that. And then Opera Idaho visited us, and it was a really great, popular assembly. It was fun. The music teacher set that up. Ms. Waters and Mr. Doty helped our team take first place for the at the Hoops for Scoops at the College of Idaho. We won by a landslide, but I think they practiced. I mean, it was hardcore for our team. They were very serious about it. So the women's basketball team will be coming to eat ice cream with all the kids who are interested in that next week. Our teachers helped us through the homecoming parade. That was a fun celebration, but they really stepped it up and had posters and everything, and that was great. Our teachers helped our student leadership team organize a food drive in November. And then we just finished Kiss the Pig, a fundraiser with the PTO, and Mrs. Jeffs, who was the surprise vote, was so excited to kiss the pig, genuinely. So that was fun. So our PTO is really helps us to create some of that parent-family engagement that we've been working on at Heights. And they've put together some different things. First, they ran a reading store to help encourage the kids read at home after school. They took all the their reading logs and the minutes they had read or AR points, and the students were able to shop with those reading minutes last week. They do an art contest, so they have, I think it's 6 different categories, and we had 90 entries to our art contest, which was pretty fun for the kids to see what each other did. They sent us on a limo ride to Burger King with the kids that helped fundraise for our Fun Run Java-thon fundraiser in the fall. They've actually, one of our new events is our paint night. So just like you might go to a paint night with your friends, we have them at Heights. For our families, we bring in an instructor, and we've had 3 so far. We'll have a 4th one by the end of the year, and they've been a big hit, and to the point where it's filling up so much we might have to move that half curtain there and open up the rest of the cafeteria. So that's pretty exciting to see that level of engagement. Friday, please stop by. If you're not busy, we're gonna have family night from 6 to 8. It'll be literacy themed. We'll have all sorts of different activities for kids to read books and win books and that sort of thing. And then they're putting on a science fair on April 7th. We also have a parent advisory committee, so we have 2 parent organizations. Our PAC meets once monthly. I've been using them to advise me of different things. We did some adjustments to our lunch schedule at one point. They helped me go through the pros and cons of that. We've talked about different forms of communication, what works and doesn't work for parents. Right now it's a small group that was already established when I took over as principal, and I'm hoping to expand it by ×2, so we can represent the school a little bit more on that committee. And then they plan our big school carnival, which is our biggest fundraiser at Heights. And our school carnival, gosh, it pays for all sorts of important things. We've used PAC funds to update some safety things at Heights that we needed to work on over the summer. It funds field trips. We just bought recorders for the 5th graders with PAC funds, so we're able to do some things to really enrich what the kids are doing in the classroom with those carnival funds. So please come join us May 8th from 5:30 to 8. Moving forward, let's see, I want to continue to focus on the culture and climate of Heights. Really, we've focused on the staff. It's time to really start assessing how our students are feeling, ensuring that our families are always feel welcome and heard at our school. As we move into next year, we're going to continue to strengthen our conversations regarding student achievement. So we're going to continue to talk about data, but I want to take it a step further and really start talking about their instruction as well and what's working and what's not for our students. And then continue to increase parent involvement. That's all I have.
Question?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
How often do you do your climate survey for your staff?
That was the first time. So when I first took over in the summer, I did a small survey. I asked staff members who were not new, so returning to Heights staff members, I asked them to name 3 things they love about Heights, 1 thing they'd like to change at Heights, and then I had them complete the sentence working at Heights is like. So that was kind of what I used to gauge the climate and culture there moving into it. And then January, I sent out our first survey. So I think our leadership team, we were thinking maybe doing it at the end of the year or maybe doing it at the start, so we had some good data.
Okay, that's awesome. And then my other question has to do a little bit with the data that you showed us. So obviously between all those data points are kids, have you noticed or is there discussion about, we've heard about the trauma training and stuff that's happened in our district. Are there basic needs being met, food, clothing, or do you see that that's a bigger problem than maybe what we might perceive?
So I guess I should have added that. So Mark Hopkins talked about flipping the lid when he presented this last fall. So we took that and he helped me implement that at Heights. So starting January, we started talking about flipping our lid or our needs being met. So we're providing snack to students whenever they need it right now. They say within reason. We have some that are using it as like social hours. So, so we're providing snacks, making sure those needs are being met. One of the focuses, something I would like to think about for next year is really continuing to focus on that trauma piece too. We have students at Heights that definitely are impacted by trauma daily. And so thinking about our plan for professional development next year, my counselor and I have talked about incorporating that into our staff meetings. So,
Awesome. Thank you. You
Yeah.
guys are doing a good job.
Thank
Looks
you.
great.
Anybody else?
right.
Next on the agenda, we have an action item, and that's to approve the school calendar. Sharon, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so we had a committee come in. Should have brought the names of, oh wait, maybe I did. We had, gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have it right here. We had almost 20 people on the committee, parents included. And we really talked through, we were reminded of non-negotiables that have been set before, the number of days that we for sure have to have on the calendar, number of instruction hours that have to be met. First semester has to end before Christmas, 2 weeks at Christmas, the 5 holidays that have to happen throughout the year, and then the week at Thanksgiving. And it was really, I felt like the 3 hours were really that we spent together very well, because there was a draft calendar for this year already put together last year. So we started with that. So it's similar to this year. The changes that you'll see on here, let's see, August, we're starting on a Wednesday with teachers versus on a Monday. So starting August 12th, only one professional development day that week that they start, and they'll have 2 work days. And one of those work days will also have a staff meeting at their building combined in there. Then we'll have a 6th grade and 9th grade orientation as well built in. Made sure that got on the calendar because I think there was some confusion last year with that. So made sure got it printed here. Still have fall conferences. Let's see, the biggest changes then in the second semester, coming back on January 4th, the teachers really asked if that could be a work day. At the secondary level, it's very helpful to them, especially like Glenn at the academy asked for that because it helps make sure that the students are placed correctly in their classes. And so teachers will have a work day on that Monday, and then students will start back on the 5th. We had a lot of discussion about spring conferences. And as you can see, we took spring conferences off of here because the secondary does not always get a lot of participation, and the elementary is working hard when parents need contacted to reach out and have individual conferences. So that was taken off of there. Let's see, the other couple of things that you'll see is we have calendared out in October the PSAT day. And so that day in October, only 9th and 10th graders will go to school because we're getting so big in order to administer the PSAT or the SAT, and we'll do the same thing then in the spring for the SAT on that day. Only have 11, 12 come that day because of all of the rules, not our rules, but College Board rules on how PSAT and SAT has to be administered, the way the proctors are, things like that, and so only so many kids per testing room, that kind of thing. So that will only impact high school on those couple of days. And then finishing out, last day of school would be May 26th.
And still early release on Wednesdays.
Still early release on Wednesdays.
So I know I got emails about the calendar, timing wise. Is there, and I think Alicia, you said maybe that we could do it for 2 years, or how can we get this calendar out earlier for people who are planning? I don't know if that's
We can
a board
start.
decision, if that's a school district decision, but it seems like the earlier we could get it out for people that are setting their travel schedules or parents, grandparents, travels, I think would be helpful. I don't know what the
We can
rules are.
always start earlier,
If-
planning and looking ahead.
What was the discussion with the committee on early release on Wednesdays? What was,
There was just one question that came up in the room about having early release, and we had discussions around it, and that was really it. Nothing else was brought up in the committee.
complaints?
Mm-mm. At least not that were voiced that.
Right.
And I haven't heard any otherwise, so.
Does you have any input or any thoughts or anything going forward wise or?
I just want to add a comment just so people are aware. The start date early in August and getting out early in May has always been like, can we start later in August? And many of you know there's a legislature action that they tried to bring to start after Labor Day. One of the major problems that we've been having that I was unaware of until I sat in that meeting and listened to the discussion was the number of hours in a semester for the high school. So if let's say, for example, we talked about starting on August 24th and getting out May 20th, more warm days, right? So we can hang out with our kids and families. But what that does is it really limits the high school. So to get that first semester done before Christmas, so it matches up with all the colleges and grades and everything, it would only give them like 62 days to teach the same amount of material. And second semester, they would get about 80 days. And so that's really not fair for the students or the teachers to try and pack that much information and try and still be consistent with those dual credits and stuff with the colleges and, keep everything in line. And so I just want everyone to be aware, we have talked about that. We've looked at how early it feels like we're starting, and we did move a few things around to try and help with that. And there's still, I think, further discussion that can happen as time goes on. But we felt like this was a good compromise. We felt like we were trying to be respectful and give the parents and families a few more days at home, but also try to keep it so that the secondary kids aren't trying to cram all that information into such a short time with all the other interruptions that we have to try and calendar with. So the feedback I got from the people in the committee was they felt very heard and very grateful that there was able to have discussion about changing some things and having a few more teacher work days. They were extremely grateful for, where there's not professional development. It's strictly time for them to do report cards, to place kids and have those discussions, because they felt like they weren't getting a lot of that. And so that's kind of the general feel that I got. So hopefully that helps a little bit on that part.
Was a 4-day school day ever mentioned or brought up?
A couple people threw it out, like, it'd be nice if we just had 4 days. But that's as far as it went.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm with Kirk. I think starting on one that can get it advanced faster for the general public.
yeah, we can
That'd be a good
certainly
idea.
do that for next year.
Yeah, even if we just get like the start and end dates and kind of the hard framework and then the teacher days or something to get it out to the public, I think would be helpful.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, do we have a motion on the floor to accept the school calendar as presented?
Make a motion to approve the calendar for 2021. School calendar.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we'll go to an executive session. Somebody want to, by roll call, somebody want to read our go-to?
You want to sign students first, or you want to read? Sign first.
Let's go ahead and get that way.
Just first.
Sign them on the way out.
We'll sign them on the way out. Yeah.
Do you want me to read it? Anyone else want to read it? Per Idaho Code 74-206B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student.
So do I have a motion to go into executive session? Is that one?
Sorry, I moved to go into executive session in accordance for Idaho Code, as stated previously.
I'll say,
Any discussion?
Trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Moore,
yes.
trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee McConkey,
Yes.
trustee Adams.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll go into executive session now. We'll sign kids' agendas.
That's back.
So
Sorry, I just
freaking
want to make sure you
21
had it written down before we went back and then you're trying to figure it out after.
21 homeless kids at the frickin' Heights. This homeless thing just blows me away.
But there's all kinds of classifications as to what homeless is.
That's what I
It's
wondered.
not just necessarily a kid that's on the street.
But it
that's
is
living
for-
multiple,
There's
but it is
for-
high. Yeah.
It's like,
Or sometimes if they're waiting to build a house. and
Building
they're
houses,
doing
they're living with
lunches.
parents. if they're
Am I
living with
homeless?
siblings. So you're homeless. If you went to school.
Yes. We need to look at portions though for the students. Some of those portions are tiny.
Do what? I'm sorry.
Food portions,
Oh, trust me,
working on it.
that's gonna be probably another
I mean, I like food.
big conversation.
It's almost like they don't get it in.
So we're out of executive session. Do we need a motion?
We did.
We already did. We already
You
know.
make a motion, you need to come out, or you, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have a motion now?
Yes.
Sure.
I make a motion to accept 1 through 3 letters of resignation.
Second,
I'll second that.
and this is a voice vote, right? Not a,
No, you can, I.
You can.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Right. I make a motion for number 4, to ratify admin leave and continue it. Paid, my bad, for number 4. Or number 4.
Second,
I second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Did we have, so for speaking, we had a mark somebody, is that?
Was somebody, Matt, that said
Matt?
maybe.
Mickey left.
Oh,
I
Was
also
that-
said maybe.
maybe?
I was wondering about my teacher, Gomersall. Can you guys say anything about like what happened?
We can say it's a personnel issue,
Okay,
that'd be it.
thank you.
I think that was it.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Perfect.
Mary Ann made the motion.
So although Middleton got